Hey guys, back with another video, another movie video, and this is a response to my good friend Dustin Kreis. He did a video on his favorite directors where he talked about his favorite directors and then chose one movie for each of the directors that was his favorite. I'm going to do things a bit differently. He didn't do his in a list or anything like that, but I'm going to do my top 10 directors and then my favorite film from that director. And this list was harder to come up with than I expected because, you know, when I look at some of my favorite directors, they have to be consistent. They have to consistently put out great movies to make it on this list. And like the 9 and 10 spots were very hard to come up with directors because there's a lot of them where I'll like one or two of their movies, and then the rest of them I'm just not that into. So yeah, it was quite hard to come up with this list, but I think I've got it. I've got it down right now. So yeah, let's get things started with number 10. Michael Mann, maybe a surprise choice, and again, it was hard to come up with like the ninth and 10th spots. Michael Mann's a director that he's made some movies that I don't like. Miami Vice I thought was absolutely terrible. He recently did Black Hat, which, like, that movie was awful. He's made some bad movies, but the good movies he's made are so good that I felt, yeah, he's going to make the list. I might make some honorable mentions, but he's done some fantastic movies. My favorite is got to be Collateral. When I saw this when it came out, and I was just blown away. First, it has Tom Cruise playing a villain, which is something you rarely see, and he was fantastic in the role. Jamie Foxx was also really good. Michael Mann's directing style is very like kinetic. His films are always very intense. The Insider is another movie he did that is really fantastic. That would probably be my second favorite. And of course, Heat is his probably most famous movie. But Collateral was just really intense, and it has a chase sequence towards the end of the film that is, to me, it's the best chase sequence done in a film. I cannot, like, the tension in that chase scene was unbearable. Like, it was so well done. A pretty simple story, but very effective, and the performances were really top notch. And you have those amazing city views that he has in his movies quite often. So yeah, he's a director that I think has done some really good work, even though some of his movies I hate. But Collateral would definitely be my choice for Michael Mann, and he's at number 10 in my list. At number 9 is Oliver Stone. Now this is a weird choice. He's not one of my all-time favorites. He's made a bunch of movies I don't like. His movies now, they're very politically charged, for sure. But I cannot deny the entertainment factor of some of his films. And the film I chose is JFK, which, yeah, if you look at this and, you know, try to, like, pull out facts and things like that and kind of look at it as history, it's a bit ridiculous. Plenty of it is dubious, to say the least. But, man, is this movie fucking entertaining. The whole 3 hours, this is like almost a 3 hour long movie, and it's never boring. Not a single boring second here. The performances are amazing. It really gets you into that conspiracy mode. And of course, after you watch it, you're going to be just all over the internet, just reading up everything you possibly can. Yeah, really, really electric filmmaking here. Just like, his movies just really, they're very fast paced. They're always exciting, I find. Even some of his lesser efforts. He recently did a movie called Savages, which was a mess. It was an ambitious mess, but you know what? I liked it. It was entertaining. His movies always are. Some of his other good movies, The Doors, which, again, I don't think the members of The Doors really liked that movie as far as I can remember, but it was still very entertaining. His movies are just really entertaining. Platoon is, I think, a very good war movie as well. Wall Street is another really entertaining movie. You know, I can understand why someone would not like his movies, but JFK in particular, I think, is just really exciting and fun. I've seen it multiple times. It never gets old. It's certainly flawed, but man, is it a blast to watch. At number 8, we finally have a director where I like most of his movies, and a director that I don't think most people would have on their top 10, and that's Paul Verhoeven. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Dutch director, and I love this guy's movies, and unfortunately, he hasn't done a movie in a very long time. The last one, I think it was called Black Book, back in like 2006 or something, which sucks. I really would like to see him come back and make some more movies, because most of the ones he's done I've flat out loved. I've picked Total Recall. It was tough between this or RoboCop. But I have to go with Total Recall. Now, it's a very nostalgic movie for me. I saw it when I was very young, and his movies are known for over-the-top violence, plenty of sex, and they're usually just seeped in satire, which I absolutely love. And as a kid, his movies were amazing too. RoboCop I loved when I was a kid too. I loved the overtop violence of them. But I think they're very entertaining, and the satire is what I come to nowadays when I'm older. Total Recall, though, I actually think it has a really smart storyline, and I really like the ending. And it's actually probably one of my favorite performances from Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, the film's just big on ideas, and I think it's one of those movies where, if in the hands of any other director, I probably wouldn't have liked it near as much. And in fact, there was a remake of it that was absolutely fucking atrocious, that came out not too long ago. And the remake of RoboCop I hated too. Just I don't know. It's when you remake a Verhoeven film, it's just if you don't have the satire, it's just, and the overtop violence and things like that, it's just not going to be successful. But Total Recall is just a blast from start to finish. All of his movies are very entertaining. Even Hollow Man I actually like. I know a lot of people shit on Hollow Man, but I actually like that movie quite a bit. Showgirls is obviously known for being one of the worst movies of all time. I've talked about that before. That's like a guilty pleasure movie for me. I love that movie. I think it's great. Yeah, it's just, movies are just really fun. They're really fun to watch. I hope he makes a return to filmmaking, because yeah, I love this guy's stuff. At number 7 is David Lynch. Now, Dustin had this on his list. He had David Lynch on his list as well. And you know what? There's actually some movies that he's done that I actually hate. But I still have him on the list because he's a director I just really admire. And the movie I chose is Mulholland Drive. I've talked about this movie before. I think this is an all-out masterpiece. It's ranked on plenty of lists for like the best film of like the 2000s, and yeah, I agree completely with that. Now, he's made some movies I don't like. Lost Highway I hated. Wild at Heart, which I actually saw for the first time not too long ago, I absolutely fucking hated. Now, as a director, though, I just admire him so much because he does his own thing and he doesn't care about commercial success. I think Dune was the only movie where, obviously the studios interfered like crazy. But he said in an interview too, where if he doesn't have an idea, he just won't do anything. He'll just wait till he comes up with an idea. Obviously now he's doing Twin Peaks. He's returning to Twin Peaks, which is really awesome. So it's nice to see him finally back doing some stuff, because after Inland Empire, he didn't do much. He was like working on music, I think, which I don't know. That I just really admire, a director who's just not going to sell out. And even his movies that I hate, I really admire because they're just totally out there. His movies have always been fairly bizarre, at least most of them. But yeah, Blue Velvet's another movie that I fucking love. Very depressing, but very, very excellent. Eraserhead is great as well. But Mulholland Drive is just, man, this movie. So many great scenes here. I love how it's like kind of like a dark look at Hollywood. Most of his movies are quite dark, but this one's very dark. It's also quite depressing too. The cowboy scene in particular, I think that's one of the greatest scenes in movie history. One of the writing there too is fantastic as well. I saw the movie again. I've seen it many times, but I saw it again not too long ago. And that scene, I paid really close attention to that scene and just the dialogue in particular. And it blew me away. The scene ended. I was just like, holy shit! Like, that's how you do a fucking scene. Like, the movie is just amazing from start to finish. But yeah, it's a director that, even though I think he's probably the only director on this list actually, where I hate some of his films, but he made the list anyways, just because some of his films I love so much, and as a director, he's definitely top notch, and different from any other director out there. Yeah, very definitely deserving to be on the list. And at number 6 is Stanley Kubrick. What best directors list would be complete without Stanley Kubrick. Maybe a bit low at number 6. I think some people would rank him higher. But he has some movies that I don't really like all that much. Believe it or not, Doctor Strangelove, I'm actually not crazy about that movie. It's okay. I don't hate it, but I don't love it like a lot of people do. But Kubrick, so many different types of movies he's done. It's crazy how consistent he was, considering the different styles that he went with in different genres. The Shining, he wasn't known as typically as a horror director, but The Shining is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. The movie I picked is Full Metal Jacket, which I think is the greatest war film of all time. Maybe a well, some people might agree with me, but that's a category that's pretty contested, I'd say. But this movie, man, I love this movie. It's fucking amazing. Now, obviously, the two halves are very different. The first half, I think, is like the best work Kubrick's ever done. The first half of this movie is incredible. Very distressing, very intense, amazing performances. I forget the actor's name, but who plays Pyle. But man, what an amazing performance there. But the first time I saw this movie, that first half, just really made me feel like complete shit. Which is the sign of a good movie. The second half I really like too. I don't think it's quite as strong as the first half, but it's still really strong. And the movie overall is just very, very, very good. And Kubrick, he's done a bunch of great movies, of course. I'd say his most underrated is probably Eyes Wide Shut, which I talked about in the most underrated movies video. That's very much worth seeing for those that haven't. A really great movie to go out on, I think. Yeah, it's interesting where he was working on AI, and I guess Spielberg kind of took up the slack and finished that movie. And I really hate AI. I can't stand it because, again, Spielberg adds his sentimental bullshit into it. And I really would have loved to see what Kubrick would have done with that. I think that movie could have been amazing if Kubrick had survived or had lived. We got to see his vision of that movie. Unfortunately, we got Spielberg's crappy take on it. But yeah, Kubrick, absolutely a magnificent director. Plenty of great movies, but Full Metal Jacket, I think, is my pick for my favorite. It was a bit of a hard choice, though. I go back and forth between a few movies of his, but The Shining was close. But yeah, definitely going to go with Full Metal Jacket on this. And getting into the top 5, we have the Coen Brothers. Man, these guys have done a ton of movies, and it blows my mind how consistently amazing they are. In fact, I like off the top of my head, I think there's one movie they've done that I haven't liked, and that's Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I don't know, wasn't into that one. My favorite of theirs, it was a hard choice, but I'm gonna go with Fargo. It's generally, I think, considered to be their best film. Maybe Old Country for No Country for Old Men is probably up there as well, but Fargo is one of those movies I saw when it came out. I was like, yeah, 6 or 7 when this movie came out. Of course, I was young, so I didn't really like it all that much. I didn't really understand it. I saw it later again, maybe when I was like 15 or so, and I thought it was better, but I still thought it was just kind of okay. Then I saw it in my 20s, and I've seen it multiple times since then, and now it's like, it's way up there on like my all-time favorite movies list. Like, I think this is a masterpiece. Maybe even the best movie of the 90s. No, well, no, okay, there's one movie I like more than this, but yeah, very darkly comic, this movie, but very violent too. Really fascinating characters. I love the Minnesota setting here. Absolutely brilliant. And the Coen Brothers, their movies are just, oh my god, like so many great movies that they've done. Their first movie, Blood Simple, is actually amazing. I definitely highly recommend that. No Country for Old Men, of course, was amazing, though it beat out a certain movie for Best Picture that I didn't think it really deserved to beat that particular movie. True Grit was really good recently. Barton Fink I really like quite a bit. Burn After Reading is really underrated. I think that's actually one of their better movies. There's so many great movies they've done. Anytime they do a movie, I'm always interested in what it's going to be. Even movies where I don't think they're going to be that great, looking at them face value. Where like Inside Llewyn Davis, that movie, like judging from the plot, I was like, well, that doesn't sound very interesting at all. I was like, well, it's Coen Brothers. I'll give it a shot. I love that movie. That movie's amazing. it's again they take this like subject material that doesn't sound interesting on paper, but when you watch the movies, they're just so well written, so well directed that it's just like, yeah, these guys know what the hell they're doing. Just yeah, their filmography is pretty insane when you really look at it. How like so many great movies, so consistent. But yeah, Fargo is I think my favorite from them for sure. At number four is Quentin Tarantino, another director that's going to make a bunch of top 10 directors lists. Yeah, I love anything this guy puts out. His dialogue is the best in movies right now, and pretty much has been since he came on the scene. Uh, in terms of my favorite movie, Pulp Fiction is his masterpiece, really, but I'm actually going to go with Django Unchained, his most recent. I fucking loved this movie. I thought it was fantastic, and I've seen it multiple times, and I'm very much looking forward to his next movie, even though stylistically it's somewhat similar. Both his new movie, The Hateful Eight, and Django Unchained are both spaghetti westerns, sort of, although Django Unchained is almost sort of a blaxploitation film as well. Highly entertaining. It's almost 3 hours, not a boring second, especially when you consider just how good the dialogue is in this movie. Stylistically, it's crazy. Obviously Tarantino is very particular. His style is all his. There's just nothing else out there like a Tarantino film. And like this, Django Unchained was just really bold and brave and audacious. It was super over the top violent, which I loved. Very well written. Like the characters were absolutely fantastic. Christoph Waltz is amazing, absolutely amazing in anything. He was very good here. Jamie Foxx was also amazing. It twists and turns too in this movie. It surprised me with some of its later twists that I definitely wasn't really expecting. It really caught me off guard because it's one of those movies where I was like, when previews were out for it, I was like, well, it's Tarantino, it's definitely going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be that good. I do really want to see Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 again, though. Dustin had those on his list, and I haven't seen those movies in a long time. I need to go back to those. Those, I think, may actually be my favorite if I watch them again. But yeah, anything this guy does is amazing. Reservoir Dogs is amazing. Of course, Pulp Fiction. Jackie Brown, I think, is really underrated. Death Proof is fantastic as well. When I first saw the Grindhouse movies, I liked Planet Terror better, but now I actually prefer Death Proof. True Romance is a movie that Tarantino wrote, and Tony Scott directed that movie, but that's another amazing movie that I highly recommend. So yeah, Tarantino at number 4 with Django Unchained being my favorite of his. At number 3 is David Fincher, another director who I think is remarkably consistent. In terms of his movies, there's only 2. Alien 3 and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I don't hate those movies. I think they're okay. All the rest of his movies, though, I absolutely love. It wasn't actually tough for me to pick a favorite because his best movie is, I think, one of the greatest movies of all time, and that is Zodiac. And this is a masterpiece, one of the best movies of the 2000s. Now, in the hands of a lesser director, this movie would have been a lame slasher movie or some shit like that. But no, Fincher's better than that. What he does with this movie is amazing. It's very meticulous with its details of like the manhunt of the Zodiac killer. And a big focus of this movie is on a political cartoonist's obsession with the case and with finding the Zodiac killer. And this movie dives into his obsession like no other movie I can think of. And it's fascinating. And this movie is entertaining. It's super, very entertaining. It's very dark. It's very, disturbing at times, but really entertaining and fascinating. And some very tense scenes in here, too. Directed with such style and confidence, too. It looks great as well. It really feels like the 70s, too, when you're watching this movie. Really, really great stuff. I've seen this movie multiple times. It seems to get better with repeat viewings. I love Fincher's movies, but this I think is better than all of his movies by a wide margin. Other movies he's done that are really good. Seven, of course, was amazing. Great twist there. I love how that kind of plays with the kind of typical crime thriller conventions in a way. Uh, Recently he did Gone Girl, which was also very good, though not one of my favorites from him. I must say, The Game is, I think, a very underrated movie that people should definitely see. The Social Network is probably my second favorite of his movies. Again, subject matter that seems kind of boring, but that movie is so fascinating and so good. Uh, I don't know, this guy's movies are incredible. I'm always interested to see what he's going to do next. And most of the time, I'm interested in the subject material he chooses for his films. His films are usually very dark, though. Very, yeah, I don't know. They have like a certain mood and atmosphere, like pretty much all of his movies, that I think is just incredible. But yeah, Zodiac, go see Zodiac. I think it's probably even one of his more underrated movies. I don't think it made a ton of money. It reviewed well enough, but I don't think it's talked about near as much as it should be. Gone Girl was a big movie and was talked about quite a lot and was a big financial success. And but Zodiac, I don't know. I never hear anybody talk about it all that much. I think it's one of the best movies of all time. So, yeah, David Fincher, easy number 3 spot on my list, with Zodiac being one of my favorite movies of all time. At number 2 is Paul Thomas Anderson. I've talked about him quite a bit. And his newest movie, Inherent Vice, I'll be honest, I didn't like it all that much. I have to see it again, though, because it's probably going to be like The Master, where it gets better with repeat viewings. The Master is a movie that when I first saw it, I thought it was okay, but I liked it more and more the more I watched it. In terms of my favorite from Paul Thomas Anderson, I gotta go with his masterpiece, There Will Be Blood. It's a fairly easy choice here. I love all of his movies, basically. Boogie Nights was the first one I saw, and when I saw that movie, I was like, while I was watching, I was like, well, I'm watching a masterpiece right here. I actually didn't know who directed it, so I looked up the director, Paul Thomas Anderson, and was like, oh, this guy seems really good. And then from there, it snowballed from there. And saw all of his movies. Punch Drunk Love is very underrated, I feel. His first movie, Hard Eight, I think that was what it was called. Yeah, Hard Eight is actually really good and underrated, I think. Magnolia has always been a personal favorite. If you asked me what my favorite of his would have been a couple of years ago, I probably would have said Magnolia. But for now, I'm going to go with There Will Be Blood, which, man, when I hear people say this movie is boring, I don't know, man. I just don't get it. I guess some people just are not into this movie, but of course, this is widely considered the best movie of the 2000s, alongside Mulholland Drive. And yeah, it's absolutely a stunning piece of work, this movie. Daniel Day-Lewis is mind-blowing in this movie. So fucking good. But yeah, it's a very epic movie, very long. The dialogue is incredible. It's directed with like such amazing style. The score, I have to mention the score. I'm not the biggest Radiohead fan, but Johnny Greenwood, this guy knows how to do a film score. Very memorable in this movie. Now, a lot is said about Paul Dano, his performance. A lot of people just think he's kind of like Daniel Day-Lewis, just outshines him so much. I actually disagree quite a bit. I don't think this movie would have worked near as well with another actor. Paul Dano, I thought, was amazing in this movie. The character he plays, Eli Sunday, is such a piece of shit. You hate this guy so much, and I don't think you would have hated him near as much if you had a lesser actor. I think Paul Dano is right up there alongside Daniel Day-Lewis here. I think they play against each other very well in this movie. But yeah, I just found this movie endlessly fascinating. I think it gets better with repeat viewings too. You always find something a little bit different in this movie and learn to appreciate it more and more the more you watch it. Yeah, just an out-and-out masterpiece. And Paul Thomas Anderson, I think, is one of the best directors working in film today. Even some of his... I think his movies are the kind of movies that you have to see multiple times, though, to get the most out of them. But yeah, very curious to see what he's going to work on next. Part of the problem with Inherent Vice is I think the novel, that was, I think, his first movie based on a novel. And I think he might actually be better doing his own stuff. He writes his films, too. He writes and directs. Yeah, amazing filmmaker. Probably the best young-ish director working today. And definitely deserving a number 2 spot. And if you haven't seen There Will Be Blood, what are you doing? Do it right now. Amazing film. And at number 1, probably not a surprise to anyone if you've been following my channel, Martin Scorsese. Yeah, easily my favorite director. And the amazing thing about Scorsese is that he's still making incredible films, and he's like what? He's got to be like nearing his 70s right now, and he's like his newest movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, was fucking incredible, and the energy that movie had. You would be shocked to find out like how old he was directing that. And he's directs that movie with more energy and more style than most directors working today. And unlike certain directors, like Spielberg is still doing movies today, but his new movies are nothing compared to his old stuff. Francis Ford Coppola, a director known for classics like The Godfather and Apocalypse Now. Have you seriously seen the movies he's been doing lately? Like they're trash. Like they're awful. But Scorsese, he's still doing it. He's done his masterpieces and he's still making amazing movies today. It blows my mind. And when you look at his filmography, it's just vast. So many different interesting movies. And even though there's some of them I'm not quite into, I respect the guy so much. Yeah. My favorite has been my favorite movie for a long time, and it still is, and that's Casino. Now, this movie gets a lot of shit for being too similar to Goodfellas, and like to me, that's not that big of an issue. I mean, Goodfellas is a masterpiece, so to have a movie that's very similar to it, I'm all for it. Now, maybe it's because I saw Casino before Goodfellas, but it does share similar themes, but I think it differentiates itself fairly well by focusing on on Vegas and when the mob kind of controlled Vegas, and the characters here are just so interesting, even though morally reprehensible. A lot of the characters here, I really find stories about very flawed characters interesting. I find flawed, almost villainous characters far more interesting than like really good characters in a way. But this is like a 3-hour movie with not a single boring second. Very narration heavy, but really great narration. Tons of details with this movie. It's very meticulous too, similar to Zodiac. The performances are top notch. Robert De Niro is just at the top of his game here. It really is a shame to see how he's fallen. He hasn't done anything noteworthy for quite some time. Sharon Stone, usually an actress that I don't really like at all, is amazing here. Just a really interesting story. And again, like I said, with Wolf of Wall Street, it's very fast-paced, very energetic, very violent, which is another flaw here. Like, I don't know, I've never take that kind of criticism seriously. When a movie is too violent, I never understood that. Which, especially when you're looking at a movie that deals with the mob, of course it's going to be violent. Like, I don't know. I think this is just a really underrated movie that I don't think a lot of people really give much of a chance. I think it's a great companion piece to Goodfellas too. When you have Goodfellas and this, that's like 6 hours of the finest filmmaking you'll get. But yeah, other Scorsese movies, obviously Taxi Driver is a fucking masterpiece. Raging Bull, the best sports movie of all time. Again, I mentioned The Wolf of Wall Street. I think his most underrated movie, other than Casino, is The King of Comedy. Maybe Robert De Niro's best performance. That is a very tragic, but also very funny movie. After Hours is another very weird, bizarre movie. It's probably Scorsese's weirdest movie, and it's hilarious. Scorsese, known for hard-hitting dramas, is able to do a really good comedy too. But The Departed, of course, another amazing film. It's just this. I don't know. I think he's easily the best director. When he was at the top of his game, I thought he was the best, and I think he's still the best now. I don't know. Amazing. I'm always interested to see what he's going to do. His new movie is called Silence, which the subject matter is not the most interesting, but I bet that movie is still going to be really good. But yeah, I said there was a few movies I didn't like of his. Bringing Out the Dead with Nicolas Cage. I actually wasn't big on that, but maybe I have to give it another viewing. I actually haven't. I still need to see The Last Temptation of Christ, actually. But I don't know. That just does not interest me whatsoever. But maybe I'll have to give it a shot one of these days. But yeah, Scorsese, my favorite director. Casino, my favorite film from him. But yeah, that's it, guys. Honorable mentions, I guess. Like Sam Mendes, like he did American Beauty, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. But other than Road to Perdition, the rest of his movies I haven't been into. Ridley Scott, I think, is a kind of a hit and miss director. I mean, Alien is obviously a classic, as well as Blade Runner, but recently, I don't know. I haven't liked many of his movies. Um, but I'm trying to think. I can't really think of any others. Frank Darabont, The Shawshank Redemption is maybe one of my favorite movies of all time. I've been actually thinking about that movie, and the more I think about it, it's actually probably not that great. Yeah, it might even actually be pretty overrated because there's actually there's some flaws with that movie. But at the same time, he did The Mist, which is like one of my favorite recent, well, actually it's been a while now, horror movies. Like that was one of the best horror movies in years. John Carpenter was amazing back in the day. The Thing is my favorite horror movie of all time, but like lately hasn't been doing like anything. And I think after the 70s and 80s, he just kind of dropped off. Um, Spielberg obviously wasn't in my list. I honestly I think Spielberg's overrated. He makes good popcorn movies like the Indiana Jones movies and Jaws and things like that, but other than like Schindler's List and Munich, which I actually really like those two movies, but other than those, I don't think he's made that many movies where I would consider them masterpieces. I don't know. He's to me just a popcorn kind of director. And E.T. A lot of his like big movies I didn't grow up on. Like I didn't grow up on Indiana Jones or E.T. or anything like that. So I just don't have the nostalgia for them. Peter Jackson, I've gone on about him way too long. Most overrated director ever. Can't stand Peter Jackson. I can't obviously Hitchcock and a lot of like Orson Welles, a lot of like the older directors, which a bit of a shame for me. It's hard for me to get into movies like before the 60s and black and white movies. I don't know, there's something about just old movies that I just can't get into. I don't know what it is. It feels bad to say, I really should, someone that loves film, I should really be into, all types of movies, but I don't know, anything before the 60s, I find it's very hard to get into these days. I don't know. But I don't know, what are some of your favorite directors and their movies? Definitely check out Dustin's video, fantastic. Obviously, he has an amazing channel. Definitely check out all his videos. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. And yeah, that's it, guys. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.